we going? Let's do a little classic Zelda and chill. Is it playing? No? Why is it not playing? Oh, loud. Loud. Okay. Figure this out. Okay, let me adjust the music down. So I want the oh hey Jules. It's been forever. I really haven't been streaming much because I've just been busy with family and personal stuff. Not bad things, but it's been long. It's been a long time. How are you? Hopefully you're okay. In a couple of weeks, my wife is going to go to Poland for a work conference. Should be in like... You finished writing. I hope it went well. If so, congratulations. I'm sure it did. Yeah, my wife's just gonna like do some stuff. Part Sweden, part Poland. I think she'll be in like Warsaw for a little bit. But like it's gonna be one of those like she's in a convention with a bunch of like professionals and stuff like that. Be like technological and nerdy and stuff like that. I can't say too much. Keep her docs private. Is the audio coming through okay? Anyway, hopefully I sound okay, and hopefully the music is not too bad. All right. I was saying earlier that, like on the Discord, that my daughter's feeling not so great recently, and without saying too much right now, it's anybody who's watched the stream before sort of knows that you know, she's got an extensive medical history that recently has been feeling not so worrisome. But now, in the past couple weeks, she's complaining about stuff, and it's not in her personality to do that. So, trying to put on a brave face. She'll go to the doctor on Monday, and while she is eating and playing and sleeping and digesting normally, as far as I can tell, as far as I can observe, it's got me worried. So, I'm uncharacteristic. This is the kind of thing that for me is switch to this is the kind of thing that freezes my natural tendencies. It's very sobering, and figuratively and literally, because it just doesn't put me in like a party mood. I get anxious, but nothing can solve this kind of thing. It's tricky. So I just have to sort of vent and I guess cope with time and just see what happens. But we're no strangers to going and checking things out with professionals. So that's what's on the agenda, and we'll just do our best to parent through it. That's all we can do. In the meanwhile, in a stoic sense, I will try to not act on what I cannot act and do my best to prepare for chaos. It's always sensible. But also not neglect the blessings that surround me. And there are opportunities in everything. So right now, opportunity to calm myself via a little bit of distracted comfort streaming, and by that I mean like comfort drawing. Get into something I'd been meaning to do for a while, which is a bit of, let me see here. I'm gonna pull up some. I talked about this before, but doing figure drawing, except with Pokemon characters, right? Pokemon characters. Yeah, there we go. Pokedex. Maybe this is not the right reference, but I think it might be. Okay, pull this over. All right. If we can, we're going to apply some of the figure drawing lessons that I talk about constantly when I'm drawing figures. And apply them to some of these characters. And obviously, everybody knows Pokemon. This stuff came out when I was 13, 14. Sort of, you know, I was there when this stuff hit. My brother was like 7, so he's like prime age. Like he definitely was Pokemon like indoctrinated. I had it on Game Boy. Pokemon was interesting. It was one of those games that was like only on Game Boy, but not on NES, and like a real, like it might have been on NES, but I only remember having it on Game Boy. And it had different versions, and like somehow they knew it was gonna be a massive hit even before it came out, and some crazy geniuses behind it. But it's all about these kind of fun character designs, and then everybody just sort of gets behind them and mascots them and levels them up and all this stuff. I had it for a lot of consoles. Game Boy was peak, yeah. So let's see here. So like, interestingly, and I'll try to zoom in on some of this stuff because I think this is, yeah, we can zoom in. So these characters, we'll start off with like, that's not gonna work. Like these characters, like you see them, you see the design, but the pose and like what they're doing, it's like very straightforward. It's just sort of like, you know, sort of like, they're like sprites. There's some pose to it, but like we can apply what we know about how to do figure invention and figure drawing pretty much to any of these. Using their design as references, we can graph that onto a pose with the figure drawing technique that I didn't invent, I just use. It's problem solving. Hard to make poses for some, which was the prompt that I believe Donald did a great, he did a great Squirtle. Or no, it was Bulbasaur, wasn't it? But it was, it might have been Squirtle. But like the characters that are like on 4 legs and stuff like that, it's like, it's a little difficult probably to see the line of action. And I think we can start with some of these ideas. So Bulbasaur, let's try this. I'll click here, what happens? Okay, so we'll just get some of these good references. And what I will probably do is just put Bulbasaur over here. And then I can open Bulbasaur. Put him more like up here. Sort of helpful for me to have my references not to the left and right of what I'm looking at, but directly above or below. It's a little bit helpful that way to stave off any distortions. looks like we've had some drop frames. So one thing that I'm trying differently on this stream is I've got the output resolution doubled basically, and it may cause issues. We'll see. But I was noticing, looking at the downloads from previous streams that I've been doing lately, is that they're basically low resolution. Hopefully it's looking good. We'll see. But the it may cause lag or drop frames or issues. I don't know. There's always issues. So I'm not booked today, and we might have some time. So we're just gonna see how far we can get. Okay, so cover this up. Here we can see Bulbasaur has his he's like, his body is turned like to screen left, and then his eyes are looking screen right? So he's like this, he's like that. But what if we tried to get a little bit more oomph on the pose? What if it was possible that he could turn his head at the same time? He doesn't have much of a neck, right? It's like we have to... What if we could find a way to stretch? Let's try, you know, and it's okay if we fail. We don't work for Nintendo, we don't work for Pokemon. We can mess around, we can do whatever we want. All right. And I haven't drawn at all in like 2 days, so it's a bit of a warm-up stream. I want kind of like a low angle, but not too low of an angle. So I have to keep that in mind. Let's make sure my brush is the right one. Let's do... This is a brush Storybook Master that I kind of use. It's a nice gradient. It's got some blending properties. All right. Thinking about how he could have a sense of starting from behind, coming forward, and then turning. That's his head, right? Like that. And then the rest of his body is almost this. What is the name of this shape? It's like a tapered egg, right? Both legs. Dawn for Life. I'm wondering if that's Donald. Is that right? I don't know. Could be. But yeah, this is a Pokemon stream. It's been promised. It's been foretold. Awesome, awesome. All right, well, this one's for you because this was in the. I don't know. I saw you draw. Now, was it Bulbasaur or was it Squirtle? But it was. You did like a watercolor, didn't you? Hopefully, I have that right. This body is almost looking too big. And proportions matter. When I say it's too big, it must be only a little bit too big. So let's get this giant onion bulb. See the vision. I'm trying to lay out this intent. This is like taking shorthand notes. So another thing we're going to do is sort of, I'm going to set a goal to have, let's see here. I want, so this arm, I want it to go a little bit back in space, like this, right? Right? And this arm, I want it to come forward in space, right? If that's happening, then what is this leg doing? This leg is going to go back in space, more like this. This leg come forward in space. It's more interesting that way. And even if it's not obvious, like by the look of it, if you can subtly think of like just making a decision early on about what things are going to do, it'll clear up so many questions down the road. Questions like what form is overlapping the other form? Every form on this guy is just sort of like this sort of shape. See this shape? This is like the shape of Bulbasaur. This is like the hero shape language. I hate terms like shape language, but I think it applies here because the whole thing is just basically going to be like, how many of these shapes can we fit onto a character? If you look for it, you'll see it everywhere. The shape of like the spots on his skin, the shape of the heads of garlic, the shape of his ears, the shape of his arms and legs, the shape of his little toenails, the shape of his teeth. You know, it's just basically a squish. It's like if you took a triangle and combined it with an egg. I'm gonna draw an egg. Triangle. Okay. So I'm not warmed up. Eggs are hard to draw. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Plus that equals. It's almost like a candy corn shape, right? Good. Glad to hear you are around yet, lurking yet around. We don't want to lose any joiners. And anyway, if you're busy, don't feel too distracted by this, but this was something I had wanted to do for a while. But if you go back to the beginning of the stream, what we were essentially talking about is how do we take like a character that is sort of like, it's easy to find the line of action in like a character like Onyx, for instance, right? Which is just basically this rock snake. It's just like this line with circles attached to it, right? But on a character like Bulbasaur, there's like 4 legs, it's kind of squat, it's sort of round. What kind of line of action do you get with like a round character? And my sort of lesson here is you kind of have to force it, and it's better when you do, because otherwise what you get is a pose that's kind of like arrested. And that doesn't mean it's not cute and appealing in its own way. Like, think of a character like, okay, so here's a character that you cannot do anything with, is like Tokabri, right? Do you remember Tokabri? Tokabri or whatever. What is this? Tokabri? 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 Pokemon Tokabri? Tokapri? Tokapri? Yeah. Oh, Togepi. Togepi. Yeah, just do the okay, now it makes sense. The Twitch versus the YouTube handles had me a little bit here, Togepi. Here we go. Oh, here's Togepi. Remember Togepi. And Togepi, their body is encased in an egg, which basically makes it impossible to see what kind of line of action might be there. But I mean, even in this, because they have limbs, we could sort of infer something happening in there. But like, this is like some, like, okay, so R2-D2, for instance, doesn't have much of a line of action, but if you still thought about, so it's like, yes, it's so hard to see that line of action, but it's easier to draw if you start that way, no matter what it is for anything. The most abstractest way to start is the best way. And that's with a single line that can sort of summarize the entire action of the thing. Okay, so you can see the start to the vision. All right, now, so this is essentially the pose, and now we can just get in there and add to it, right? And I'll probably suck at this because I haven't drawn in a couple of days. Let's do it anyway, because it's fun. Big wide smile on this character. Go wide. Peak timing too, because I've been playing OG Pokemon game Crystal again the last few days. Excellent. See, it's all synchronicity. It was only a matter of time before I got into some Pokemon fan art. Now beyond drawing Pikachu, actually, like for my daughter and stuff like that, I have really not drawn much Pokemon. I don't know if I really have ever drawn any beyond that personally, but like I was there, I had Pokemon, the Game Boy game and stuff like that. I didn't beat it or anything like that, but we definitely it was rare for me to like be interested in beating a game anyway. when I was a kiddo, but okay, he's got little nostrils. Kind of has this. How can I get his? Yeah, here we go. Kind of has this sort of like devilish. It reminds me a little bit, looking at the face of the dragon Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Which I think I would like to draw some fan art of, because my daughter draws fan art of Toothless. Really cute too. Now the ears, they look like they just sort of come up from the sides of the head. So, more like that maybe? I didn't have Pokemon cards, however, like, when I was a teenager, like, my buddy had a side hustle of, like, basically hustling Pokemon cards. Basically acquiring and then selling rare Pokemon cards, and he had a Charizard and stuff like that back in the day. He had to sell all that stuff ages ago. Probably be worth a lot of money now, but... But I'm unable to collect things in the traditional sense of like getting it and keeping it nice. Because I don't know what flavor of neurodiversity I have, but it's the kind that where you like when I have like a book and I actually read it, like it just is like destroyed by my interacting with it. So like I can't like own a comic book without like getting greasy fingerprints on it and ripping the pages accidentally and like spilling milk on it, or like leaving it in the sun for 3 days, and or like using it as a coaster to like put a cold beverage on and then like water seeps into it. Every possession I had that like would have been like collectible when I was a kid was like that. They would come, I would stack my comic books into like giant piles, and then they would like get so tall that they would just like slide over, and like I wouldn't notice that's probably what they call depression. That's probably more the flavor, but okay, so that's looking okay so far. Not a bad start for a Bulbasaur 0001. Just start at the top. I could just draw every single Pokemon. How many would that be? Like 1,000? Jesus Christ. Bulbasaur. Those were cute. Yeah, I remember an episode where like Pikachu and Bulbasaur and Squirtle got lost, and they had to like team up to get home. Squirtle. You know what? I'm going to switch it up because now that I'm thinking about it, I like the idea of, imagine this is the head and these are the toes of Squirtle. Imagine this is something that has action to it. So that goes this way and this goes that way. And you really get this like sense of separation happening. So that means that it means this is going away. This will come forward, which means this one will go back. Which means this one's bent and coming forward, and this one is going back. Alright, final answer, right? I like this sketch, a lot more expressive. Hey, Charity. It's expressive, yeah. Charity, my daughter is expressing her. She's got. Just the past couple weeks, she's been complaining about headaches and nausea, and it's got me panicked to the extent where it's like, I'm like, is this something horrible, or is this part of a kid growing up? So we've got a doctor's appointment for her on Monday. But in the meanwhile, I'm mentally being tortured. By anxiety. Her anxiety is giving me anxiety. I'm like, part of me is like, oh, well, she might just be anxious about stuff, which would be normal for like a kid that's growing up or whatever, but we don't have the luxury of just assuming she's fine physically or whatever. You have to check everything out and follow up, so. There's nothing I can do about anything in the meanwhile, so I just have to cope by drawing. Just came by to say, hey, I got my Easter here visiting from Portland, and I found out she's never been to Charlie Brown Farms in Little Rock, so I'm taking her there today. Then San Buenaventura Beach tomorrow. Oh, awesome. Good luck with that fun adventure. I've never been to Charlie Brown Farms. That sounds like fun. Is that good for kids? Sounds like it would be. Apparently my childhood was deprived of Charlie Brown Farms. leave some of these fun loose brush strokes in for sure. The left back foot is kind of twisted. Yeah, this is and in fact I should bring something like that to this arm. Yeah. The way I'm trying to show is that, like, even with a character very sort of like squat and like condensed and like rock-like as Bulbasaur, you can and should try to force yourself to see the potential of twisting and pulling and compression. These are the it's like that, these are the elements of life, right? Yeah, so if we can allow ourselves to use our imaginations, there needs to be, there's justification for, like, not every, sometimes like characters as they're designed really only have like, sorry, do this. It's like our arms can articulate in a trillion ways. Like, some characters are designed, they just go, they like flap, basically, like a, you know, like a penguin flapping or something like that. But penguins have incredible articulation in their fins and stuff like that. All animals are very well articulated to a subtle degree. And so it's important to be able to be sensitive to the possibilities there. So yes, Donald has sensed that I've put in this kind of tension, right? This leg is like that, right? Where we've got forms kind of doing this, right? It's not just, I mean, the designer here like does it masterfully, but I'm trying to like use this as an opportunity for like a learning lesson where we could say, like, built into this blob that probably looks like this is it's probably, you know, we can think of it like this, and if we do, we can use that information to inform the things that are happening with the other limbs. So like, imagine if he had, like, he doesn't look like he has elbows, but if he did, like, we might get a sense that he's like sort of turned inward on this arm and turned inward on this back leg and not turned inward so much, like maybe allowed to go outward that way, you know. And It's like, it doesn't have to be rocket science or like a rigid science either. Like, it's interesting enough. Like, you want parallels but also opposites. So, you know, this arm is bent and this arm is just extended. This leg is extended and this leg is bent. Like, that's enough. That's plenty. It's plenty to make a pose interesting. We've got the claws for both of these front arms going this way. We've got the claws for both of these legs going this way. That's enough to make it interesting, right? Throw on some shading. What's Bulbasaur's favorite food? Pokemon eat, don't they? Here he is. Still probably drew his head too small. If I draw his limbs, hold him in just a little bit tighter. Sort of get. Pretty sure Brock made brown looking poke food. Yeah, that was flavored to each poke type's favorites. Yeah. And in the American version of the cartoon, they had like these rice balls that they called like donuts, which of course, like, they didn't think like kids could understand, or American kids would like get it. So they're like, oh, those are donuts. They're like very clearly rice balls. That's like, okay, sure, rice balls. There's another small trick, which is like, if one leg is bent and one leg is extended, like any leg that's sort of like meant to look like it's receding, just throw a little shade on it. That'll provide contrast, right? And help. Dude, I know you have little time, but your take on Crystal's pixel art character designs. Pixel art character designs would go crazy. I'll send in the Discord. Yeah, please do. Not sure I know who Crystal's pixel art character designs. All right, so. Alright, I hear a Discord notification. These are interesting. This person is a famous sprite designer. This is cool. Shout out to Crystal. Is this Pokemon Crystal? Is that the game? I thought it was a would be cool to see you do all 150 original Pokemon in a cool and unique pose. Yeah, I agree. I must be smart about my time. Okay, so these are interesting. Oh, I like some of these. That's kind of where my no, of course Pokemon is like very well concepted, obviously. A lot of what I try to do is, I guess I don't know if I try to do this, but like where there were things in that existed in the 80s and early 90s perhaps that like they had like their moment and their take, something from my childhood that like I can sort of reimagine now, but then also pay honor how it was back then, essentially draw it how I saw it in my head, but back in the day, but using the skills I have now, or whatever. But like this is really cool. So Pokemon Crystal was a part of the franchise. These must have been. So this isn't one I played. Just FYI, I had like Pokemon like Yellow. They had like Red, Blue, and Yellow. Yeah, all these crazy designs. 150. Is that all 150 right there? I am planning on like getting like what's Max's style take on like this Pokemon. I mean, I no shade to Bulbasaur. I don't know if that would be my thing. Like for instance, Squirtle would have. I could do all three. I could do all three in like one image. That would be. Let's see. So something for everybody. I'm not quite feeling Pikachu, but like, yeah. So it'd be like. It would almost be like. Triforce, right? But it's like the Tri-Pokemon. No, not really. Not like Triforce, but like something that felt like they obviously they're just so iconic. Like it would be an obvious thing. Probably simple to color too. You could just do one or two color thing you do with Photoshop. No, there's no simple with me anymore. No, there could be. But I have an inspiration. I won't call it I won't say that I see it, but I kind of see it. I guess part of what makes this feel productive for me is I have to be prepared. Hopefully nothing like this is ever actually needed, but when Kiki got sick the first time, it was important, it was a necessity that we have like a crowd fund or something like that in order to life circumstances we found ourselves in. And having done that and having some experience in it, I'm looking at my circumstances now, and just the world is so different that it's like I'm not as confident that I could pull it off the same way if it was necessary with the same people as before. Not because of anything bad about them, it's just like a lot of the support I got from my work network, like my clients at the time, I don't know if it's as dependable. So, I need to become world famous immediately so that I can look how cool this is looking. Let's do our due diligence and flop this. See if I hate this. Oh, I don't hate it. That's good. It's nothing perfect, but it's pretty good. Like, it doesn't feel like he's about to fall over or anything. It looks like he's deliberately moving and emoting and doing a pose that, like, it could be him and stuff. Let's get some of these. That's nice to see. So you can use the power of the line of action, and then whatever contrasting the classical Italian word contrapposto, like contrasting poses. Quick save, or I'll get screwed. Okay, so that's a good example. Well, why don't we consider this research then for the Pokemon piece? Pokemon piece. Donald, will you refresh my memory also about the what was that sexy cyborg duck girl? It's stream time, yeah. Hey, Sextra. What does Poke Food look like? Oh, they're just like little meatballs or something. Thanks to Bulbapedia. This sounds like a resource we need. Bulbapedia. Is this all hallucinated? It's like kibble. Oh, it's like bait. Well, anyway, I won't. Here we go. Pikachu and his friends eating Pokemon food. Bulbapedia is the better Pokemon wiki. Okay, yeah. Max, I did get some... did get some ideas for Super Donald Duck. Yeah, but I just wasn't sure if it would get you any traction at all for Disney stuff like you were talking about, because I'm pretty sure Super Donald is very niche. So I believe in the power of people seeing the... So it wasn't like I was like, I know this will work, but what I am believe... Okay, I don't believe in things, but I have the intuition, okay, that my response, my personal interests to some, like, I don't know what that character is. What was her name? Like Stacy or something like that? What is it? she's not that big a character. We will see. We will see how big she will be. No, it's not like I snap my fingers and make people interested in things. But what resonated visually when I saw that character will amplify with my take on it, and then will resonate, possibly, with others as well. But it doesn't matter as much whether or not they do. I feel the resonance happening, and something has to be done about it, you know? When I am feeling where my targets are coming from, it's like a magnetic pull. You know, I could work on something Star Foxy, you know, Fox Cloud. I'm interested. Right now I'm interested in a couple things. I have a great personal previous interest in anthropomorphic character kind of stuff, like DuckTales, you know, kind of stuff. I grew up reading Disney comics, Donald Duck comics, read a lot of that. This is a new character I didn't know anything about. Doesn't matter if she's not that well known. Any furry gooner will see my take on it and say, I must send this to the others. The others must know, you know, kind of thing. And that's what will happen. That's my guess. See, and part of what I'm doing is I am creating a theory and I'm testing it. And if I draw the character and it gets the response, then I'll know that my intuition on the subject was correct. And that there's an audience that likes that sort of thing, you know. Okay, so there's Bulbasaur. 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 Okay, cool. I think it's pretty clear that, like, given this sketch, finishing it doesn't look like it would be that difficult, right? It's sort of set up for success here by sort of working out what the pose needs to be, even in a rough form. Like, the rest of this I could finish at any time. Might be fun is if we tried to throw a little color on it. Try that. Let's see here. Put this in here. Now we all know about my color vision deficiencies. Poor tragic genetic condition. I'm a victim of genetics. But we can see what happens. See what we can get away with in terms of colorizing. Bulbasaur here. First we'll set it to multiply. Just get a base on everything. anybody knows any good Pokemon music remix playlists, I'd be down to entertain. Get some quick color integrated for no other reason than just to experiment. Sometimes a drawing doesn't have to be finished in order to be appealing. Sometimes that roughness is very, very appealing to people. Art, the act of becoming. Trouble reading the everybody forgive me if I'm not reading the chat very good. Some of the colors are a little dark on the names, and like dark red, it might as well be like invisible to me. And also, what is bright red to some people is dark red to me, and therefore invisible. Your brother, no need to feel bad for not reading that. You're good, brother. Ah, yeah. Okay, thanks, Danny. Sorry, I was able to see it. If it goes high enough in the chat, I can sort of see it with some contrast. Well, yeah, I'm trying to see the program I use, Painter, has some interesting color blending modes that, or layer blending modes that have interesting effects that I haven't seen replicated in other drawing programs. And they're not like, oh my god, this is to die for or whatever, but it's sort of interesting to experiment with. I have made it a little bit part of my signature process. Okay, so we can see that, and now if I set this to colorize, that's kind of pleasing. For whatever reason, it made the made these nails go blue, which is not. So that's like a side effect. Let's fix that. Need blue nails, although it's kind Yeah, it looks like a crayon or a colored pencil, right? It's a little bit more in line with this kind of old school. It's got a softness to it. I think it's appealing. I've done some sketches, not of Pokemon stuff, but of, you know, other types of things with this before. And I just feel like color does better, like online. Some things you can totally get away with just the black and white. That's great, but having done a few, you can also do that for the first 3 starters. Yeah, well, let's just treat this, again, this is like my little therapy stream. I just need something to occupy my brain. There's not, there's not a lot that's like pulling me. Thank goodness that, you know, I got my taxes out and stuff like that. I'm not feeling the stress of that particular deadline. Like if I was working today, I would be distracted in a way that I would find helpful because, you know, I'm a professional artist, but I'm not a professional. I'm not like Dr. House, right? Like I solve medical mysteries and stuff. So like the medical mystery I'm dealing with is, if it is medical, is that's like a problem I can't solve. It's like rocket science to me. But this problem I can solve. I have my tools. Let's move on to Squirtle. Squirtle. What's the drawing for? This is me coping with me being unable to do anything productive. Instead of doom scrolling, I'm doom drawing, you know? It's never lupus, exactly. We're going to it's like for instance, I've prevented myself from even Googling like the symptoms and what it might be because like I won't be able to stop, right? But my wife, you know, has restraint, so she was able to Google stuff and look stuff up and be like, it's not clearly anything bad or good, and we need to just see the doctor. So appointment. Yeah, so like I have to like that, like I could spend 5 hours just googling, and it will just get worse and worse, and I won't stop, and I'll just spiral. And in 5 hours I could get a shit ton of drawings done and, you know, become world famous. which one makes more sense to do, given that I can't control any outcomes whatsoever, and she's gonna go to the doctor on Monday anyway. It's like, you know, it's like, I want to help her, but what helps her is not necessarily the same thing as like what helps me. It's and like what is bad for me is not necessarily good for her, right? Believe me, if it was something where it's like, all right, for the next 8 days you have to live at the hospital, I'd be like, cool, I'll do that, you know. It's not something I'm unfamiliar with, but until someone tells me that, it's sort of silly for me to assume that I can be a doctor here. My daughter is 9 going on 10. She can tell us what's going on in her own body to the best of her own ability. I don't have to speak for her. Okay? So I just have to keep reminding myself this stuff. I need to help myself as well. And this is me trying to. So what I would normally do if I didn't have anything better to do is like, you know, drink alcohol, but like I'm not the kind of person that does that when they're depressed. I do it when I'm bored or like when it's a party or when I have social anxiety. But I don't do it when I'm sad or worried. Like that's not really what some people do, but I don't do it for that reason. Squirtle. What pose will Squirtle be in? Squirtle is a mischievous kind of like... I think of him as like... Ironically, he's the fire starter of the group. Sort of willing to bend the rules or like get into trouble and sneak into shit. And, you know, got a mouth on him. Squirtle is cool. Squirtle's a bit cool. Yeah. Cool Squirtle. Pose could be similar. But different. So oh yeah, that's the one. Sorry, Donald has returned with some important inspiration, yes. The resonance that I feel in this character will carry through. And it doesn't matter that people don't know. Let's take it as a given, in fact, that people won't know who this character is and aren't even particularly interested in Donald Duck type characters. I will, using my powers, control their brains via the power of composition I will put them in a scroll-stoppingly stupefying state where their mouths will drop, and their eyes will bug out, and the hairs on the back of their neck will go, and they'll I'm gonna censor myself for a minute, but yeah, they'll be tempted. They'll be tempted to go a little monkey mode, There will be wooing. Yes, there will be. They'll catch the drool in their mouths, and they'll remember to. They need to. They remember they need to breathe, and that there are children present. You know, something like that. You know. But that's the goal, right? And here, all right. So this is it. There's yeah, something about a duck in high heels. Expect it. I'm not saying before Pokemon, but maybe concurrent to Pokemon. Okay, Squirtle is another one of these guys that has this fun make sure his head is the right size. Flip him around. Sound. Squirtle has this like imagination that he's like a secret agent superhero. I don't know if that's true, but his eyes are really far apart, so we gotta honor that. Something dynamic. shapes. Characters look simple, but they are the slightest deviation like totally changes the appeal. There's a lot going on that you're like, oh, this part won't matter or whatever, but it definitely will. Shell details. Bulbasaur is bigger. Victini, Victory Pokemon, right? Victini, oh, a bit after my time. I'm sure who Victini is. This is Squirtle. Favorite used to be Espeon. If I really want to bring the Gooners to the table, I'd draw Eevee, I suppose, right? Isn't that the infamous? Low Bunny, I think, is the new name, Max. Low Funny? Okay, hold on. Seems the consensus is on Low Bunny or Low Funny. Low Bunny. Oh my gosh. It's like, I guess this is the, it's what the people want, right? Abilities. Cute Charm. Klutz. It's cute. Gardevoir? Oh, I think I've the Kardashian of Pokemon, I guess. This is funny. Okay. Gardevoir, I gotta try this one. Okay, I mean, like, I get it. Is she a vegetable one? Or else? Max got baited. Obvious Gooner bait. I never really got the Gardevoir one. It's not my cup of tea, but alright, before we go too far. Bring it back to young Squirtle here. I remember there being some episodes where it was like tackling the hard-hitting questions like, is it ethical to evolve a Pokemon against the Pokemon's wishes? Who remembers that very special episode? There's also the Hex Maniac, which isn't a Pokemon but an NPC type, the crazy goth girl. Oh, hold on. Hex Maniac. This is why. Yeah. Well, she's a little... So I like goth, but this is not my flavor. This is like a Wednesday Addams like kind of goth, which is not my that's not my sort of in the way that she's stylized. Or also who's that girl from Hotel Transylvania? It's kind of like Goth Next Door, but it's not quite my thing. activity in the Discord. Well, then, Donald, the moment for the meme is past. You must strike while the meme moment is hot. It's not to say it couldn't come back, but but goated idea in the moment. See, that's the Donald strength is in the like the really high concept like leaps that like are quite brilliant, but then you must relinquish the possessiveness. You know, it would be and it isn't like this is the reason why I'm saying, oh, you know, get on social media and stuff like that, because I'm not really saying that, but it's like the it's not so much I wanted to steal it. It was just like, it's just a good meme for that moment. And because I know you're not on Instagram and it wouldn't have been really possible for you to like develop the thing in the time. And it's like, you know, had I unscrupulous tendencies, I would have yoinked it because it was, but take that as a compliment because it was just so good. It's just so good at the time. But you know what? That's just how it goes. But it's okay. You know, the art has to be something that we fit into the time between our priorities. Pretty much without exception. So I'll assume you had something better to do than finish the cool concept that you were coming up with. What it's not impossible that there's a moment, like the only thing I could think of being appropriate now is if Clip Studio Pro makes an announcement, for instance, that they've decided on the winner and it's like another piece of AI slop or something like that. At that point, I will seize your permission and commandeer your meme and you know, do something like that with it, where just, and I wouldn't change it, I would just post it, you know, probably under a story or something like that. But I don't know, man. It was resonated with me, might have resonated with others, and it's okay. Keep those fires, keep those juices juicing. I like that stuff, you know. There's something about like an inside joke that everybody gets that I feel like you have a certain affinity for, and that's like the strength of a meme, right? There's like what a meme is. It's like you don't necessarily get it unless you know, but like if you know, you know. Outside of the short window of context of that controversy, which is unfortunately mostly past, you could just copy paste another AI pick over it. That is actually a good point. Like if they do something, this is a in fact, if they do so, and I'm already posting Pokemon content, it's you know, lightning may strike twice. Lightning in a bottle, whatever the stretch the analogy. Feeling decent about this Squirtle. Sort of cool Squirtle. Get a sense of his personality showing. Let's bring him in, do a little color treatment, huh? And just to be perfectly perfect, like just to make sure we're using like the same methodology. Hopefully we get the same result, but we'll use the same methodology. And we'll get in there and same layer. Ooh, about a little process save. Max Google Pokemon. You could spark the meme template. No, you sparked it. But I could popularize, right? Unless you stole it. No, just kidding. But for what it's worth, I didn't doubt for a second that you came up with it, which is, you know, it's like a good meme. But like, I wouldn't be able to take credit. I would be like, no, I got this from a buddy. Let's see here. Pokemon sunglasses? Oh, these are cool. Should I wear these? We've got some options here. I should not wear these. The Squirtle mostly. You're talking about this one. Yeah, this episode is infamous. Oh god, he's flipping us off. How dare he? So it's interesting is how even in an anime, I mean, we're all familiar with like concept of like a trope, which is like a theme that is reoccurring in popular culture. Like on any cartoon that has like ever existed, you'll get like the Evil Double episode, the like Breaking Bad episode, where like a character that is like good decides to rebel and, you know, makes problems for everybody else, or the Amnesia episode, right? There's always like an Amnesia episode in every cartoon or like whatever, even like or sometimes it's the bad guy goes good kind of thing, but it's only temporarily or whatever. They try to figure out why. So yeah, they had the bad Squirtle or like Squirtle goes cool episode. Remember that one pretty early on. I just do color picking for this via eyedropper. This isn't like me doing anything sophisticated. What do you think the texture of Squirtle's tail is? Like, it looks like it's just going to be it looks like a blue tail of like you would, like a squirrel, right? It's like the joke, right? No? It looks like a fluffy tail, right? But of course, if he's a guess he's a water Pokemon and not so much a reptile kind of Pokemon. So now, take that and add it to itself. Let's turn that back on. This back to 40%. This to colorize. That's cool. You know, yeah, it does get that like colored pencil vibe. Whoa, why is that? That's interesting. Cool. Whatever. Here we welcome artifacting and strangeness, but it has this kind of like see-through. It's an interesting look. I just forget to draw in there. Let's try that one more time. At 40%. Yeah, I like it. Oh, cool. Yes. Let me... Can you post that in the Discord? I think it'll be easier for me to open that way. Pokemon Lo-Fi. I mean, it's like... What I don't want to do is play a bunch of AI-generated music. I'm unfortunately feeling very anxious about that. And so I've defaulted now to using... when I do my time lapses or whatever on Instagram or whatever, I'm trying to find music from like whatever when I was a kid or whatever, or like old movies, because it's like old movies, like movies from the 90s and 80s, or at least before 2020, because the I feel like anything new, I just have to be suspicious about the process. I know like knowing what I know about how so many production companies are like pivoting or whatever, it's just like it's they are whether or not they want to be compelled to be part of the arms race, because clients just see that as like, oh well, this is the most competitive solution, and if you're not doing it, you're not trying or whatever. But like they are corrupting their reputations, in my opinion. All right, let's see here. Here. All right, here we go. Pokemon Lo-Fi. What I don't like is that like a lot of the even if they're not making AI music, they're using like AI generated images as their like album artwork. And granted, it's like I don't want. All right, let me put it here. The don't. This is me. Don't use AI images for your AI, for your non-AI. Okay. Don't use AI art for your non-AI music. That is what I would say. Okay. To people who Poketopia. Let's see here. Now, Game Chops, I believe I can trust. Okay, so let me just search for it on the Spotify. Poketopia. Well, if you, and this isn't applying to you, but it's like, because I know you compose music, but if you, I mean, you make an association with the usage of AI, and then that's going to be what you are assumed to be using as your forefront tool. And whether or not that is good, I don't, it's good for you if it's good for you, but it's not something I'm trying to support. I'm trying to set an example of like not being that thing. So let's see here. Poketopia. Where's that? Did I get the right one? Uh-oh. What's happening here? Look how they used white in the old Poke art. Very nice and unique aesthetic. Haven't seen it anywhere else. Yeah. They have this kind of watercolory look. Yeah. Bring this over. It won't dox anybody. Yeah, it's the classics. Pikachu, a little unoptimized here. Good stuff. Here's that fun dynamic pose of Charizard here, right? Oh, and so this is kind of, it's not too different from like the pose I did. And it's interesting. It's not too different from the pose I did here. Or these guys, you could see there's more dynamism here. So here he's pretty straightforward, but here he's a little dynamic, and here, so there's a fun escalation in the posing, right? Oop. All right, ignore all that. Nothing critical in there, I don't think. Whatever, make a note. 151, I will strike it from the record if I decide what was seen must not be seen, but I don't think there's anything there. Let's see here. All right, so Pokemon music. Here, Pokemon Lo-Fi, Poketopia. The Game Chop stuff, I feel like, has a good reputation. try. They're pretty relaxing. Let's give it a shot. What I don't want is like an untested album to like end the stream or cause copyright issues. But hey, it happens. We like to live dangerously after all. Okay, let's do a Charizard. For the sake of completeness. Charizard. Yeah, the covers, I believe the general assumption, it's been my experience that covers just don't get flagged. It's sort of wasn't their original. And to be honest, like some of this stuff is way better than the original, so it's whether or not that's fair, I don't know. But kind of like the same way, it's like if someone was reposting my fan art somewhere, it's like I don't really have a legal leg to stand on to be a bitch about it. But on the occasion that I might have an original creation, I might yell. Let's see here, Charizard. Or sorry, Charmander. There's a big difference. Okay, there's a big difference. I've learned a lot about Pokemon today. Which ones are? Which ones are the Gooner bait, Goon friendly? Goon sauce. Shame on all of you for even knowing. Charmander will keep with the upright. We sort of had the, at least as far as like the game was concerned, had sort of a shyness. Then evolved and went ham, yeah. Being able to eke out like interesting kinds of character evolutions from video game characters, not a easy thing to do. Credit to the adaptations are difficult, so when it's successfully pulled off, it's a thing of beauty, right? And no one can say that the Pokemon cartoons were not successful. what I found though, the bad part of Pokemon was that there were not the cartoons. When I was used to the cartoon, so I played the game and I was like, cartoon is far more interesting. It's not perfect. It wasn't like a perfect cartoon, but it was a very good adaptation in my opinion. Wide eyes. Much depth there is in these poses. I like a more spherical camera lens. You know, I love that stuff. Yeah, when I tend to like, as if like you are like it's correct. It's like it's really more like you took a camera and you put it like near the character, as opposed to just drawing what it looks like through a telescope from like 2 miles away. Right? Yeah. There is an actual POV to stuff when I draw. And that's a side effect of there's a concept called the station point, and this is a good moment to sort of introduce a perspective concept. Now, I'm not a perspective master. I understand this stuff intuitively, but a lot of people don't even like sort of get to this point, and I think it's important to understand that there's a like people will, you know, like draw the box in perspective, right? And they'll think it's like, oh, well, okay, cool, that's perspective. The station point is probably the most important part of a perspective understanding. It's where your eyeball is in space. So like it's like you can draw like a fictive piece of space where where you've got like things have vanishing points and stuff like that. But all that is actually dependent on where the camera is. Like, where's the camera in relation to your space, right? And that's when like more questions like the lensing and stuff like comes into play, right? Like, if you have like a view that's like 10 feet away, but you're shooting it through like an IMAX lens or like a really shitty you know, depending on how big like the lens and the chip are and stuff like that, you're going to get a completely different view, even if you have the same station point, for instance. Who's this? Vile Plume dude? Might be a first-time chatter. Hi, welcome. I'm going over some not unrelated high-level perspective stuff right now. But what we're trying to do is draw some Pokemon. Vileplume is a Pokemon. Oh. Okay. I'm like the generation that was like, oh cool, Pokemon, that looks cool. And then like I got a driver's license and I started to draw. Like Like, I turned 16 in, like, 1998 or something like that. So, like, the time when, like, Pokemon was, like, kind of crushing it, like, I was also sort of, like, not so much getting more into Pokemon, but getting more into, like, driving a car and, like, picking up chicks and stuff. Valplume dude, yeah. Well, welcome and oh, there it goes. We would assume that Valplume might be interested in Pokemon, but it's okay one way or another. Classic Pokemon characters through the lens of a professional perspective. Obviously, these character designs are goated, you know, they've withstood the test of time. Oh, did I just reboot? I might have rebooted, so sorry if that, yeah, it looks like it did. Shame about that, but... happened about the 2-minute mark. Or sorry, the 2-hour mark. But I feel like that's like a symptom of like doing a dual stream. Curious. Yeah, Vileplume was on YouTube. So it's just interesting to see where people come from. You know, is it Twitch? Is it YouTube? The growth on Twitch is like non-existent, basically, for me. I don't know if Vileplume is still in the chat. They might be gone. Probably saw a Squirtle, came in, clicked, I'm like drawing something else. Bounced. I'm good. He fled. Yeah, maybe. They. Easily could be. Pretty good. I feel like Charmander might be a little bigger. This counts as content. I could export this, save it out, post it. Okay. What do you make of Bulbasaur's white pupils? So that I am curious. That doesn't necessarily... Sometimes things happen and then they get baked in as like canon, but like the artist is like, yeah, I didn't intend for that to be the case. They're supposed to be highlights or whatever. But and sometimes it's like highlights really only look good in one direction relative to camera and like head positioning and stuff. That can totally be the case, because I'll make a mistake some here and there. Believe it or not, I do make mistakes from time to time. And I'll be like, wow, oh, and then I'll fix it and I'll be like, wow, the difference that making that small adjustment in the design made totally like patched up the thing that was bothering me. And then you realize it's like, that's probably why the original designer, Bulba just has white pupils. It's a plant thing, maybe it doesn't look right if it's different for whatever reason, you know? Something to signal his plantiness? Maybe it is. Charmander has this fun... Charmander would be fun to render out in like my kind of colorized, my like painted style, given that he has this interesting, obviously his tail's on fire, so he can sort of be his own light source, at least in part, right? Just got a notification that next week, a client that was holding me has released me. Their client is taking a down week. I think there's something afoot. Something potentially, we all, I think, are painfully aware of the overly inflated AI-ness and the bubbles it's creating and stuff like that. And rumors and facts of hype meeting reality, and like data centers finding themselves canceled, and such, if such things are to be believed. But what I think I have here, we'll make it happen like this. Went away and then came back. Get that overlap looking clear. gets shaded. Back leg gets shaded. On that belly. It's okay, but I think we can do better. It's a little bit too cheeky. Sometimes just a freaking the difference of a millimeter of line can do so much to change things. I'm curious for Squirtle, did you put the eye glint in the top left of his eye on purpose? I'm sure you did, but still. Top left. Yeah, so in that case, it was in response to the pose. I actually tried to do it in a way that closer matched this reference, like at the top, but it didn't look right to me. You know? Sometimes the glint, where you put the glint in an eye, is sort of seems to indicate more about where the character is looking than where the light source is coming from. This is a cool rendition. Doing pretty good. Flop. Feels pretty Charmandery. At least it feels like it's in... Ooh, you know, the head. Again, I think the head... much too small. I don't mean like much too small, but... make a big difference. I mean, it might have been fine before, but... Conscious about the light source for that? No, I mean, kind of, but like if it felt like it didn't make sense, I wouldn't have done it. Here I'm simultaneously kind of making the head bigger and shrinking the body by bathing out some of the excess in between his legs. And this looks closer. I don't like this look where it's like a bit of a vacuum in between there. Looks like there's a lot of stretch happening. Consistent lighting will help things feel more grounded in space. That is not to say that being a slave to lighting logic, like logic of like, well, if the light is here, then this has to happen or whatever. Lighting is subordinate to composition. So if it looks better to have fudge lighting a little bit, then you have to consider it. There's just trade-offs, and trading good composition for accurate lighting is not the trade you want to make. Yeah, better to cheat the lighting and keep a good composition than get the lighting, you know, real or whatever, or realistic, whatever that means. You know, just always go for the good composition. It's got to make you feel a certain way. If it's bugging you, then it's gonna bug the viewer. That's just how it goes. If there's tension, if there's anxiety in a piece, that can be good. That can be good. But you have to control for that and do it for the right reasons, intentionally. Okay, let's color. Do a quick save. I feel like that's a decent Charmander. I might regret it, but I feel like he did good. Little Char. Bring this one in. Steal. Let's do these lovely colors. Other designers have done the work for us. Goes on this foot. Close that a second. In the home stretch, so I'm just turning off my notifications for a second. My brother's favorite was Squirtle. It's interesting, his feet have claws, but not his hands. It's probably just because it looked better that way. Some rudimentary fire, but get some of that in there. In there quick. Ah, there you go. Thanks for coming back. I'm almost done, so we will be wrapping up shortly. There's my wife calling. I'll call her back. I'm gonna hop in just a second, but I just want to see what this looks like. Colors, turn this to the basic lineup. It's pretty cool. Love how lively Charmander feels. Good. I feel like this turned out good. Let's do a quick thumbnail, then I'll bid everybody adieu. It might just be you in the chat, Donald, but I appreciate you hanging out. Alright, let's see here. I'm gonna wrap this up. This was a very important and much needed. See, that's ready for the gram right there. All right. Kind of funny face can I make? I would like to say thanks for hanging out and keeping me company. The psychological warfare between my ears is never ending right now. But this felt more productive than moping, and I appreciate the support. All right.